Hi, today we're going to be talking about what to do when your H-1B is nearing your 6-year limit and your perm is not yet approved. So first off, how exactly do we calculate the 6-year limit? Is it based on when my H-1B was approved, when I entered the U.S., start date on the approval notice? Where do we start counting?
It is your physical presence in United States on H-1B that counts the clock though. If somebody gets a stamping outside, they are not entered into the United States, the time is not counted. If the H-1B with the I-94 in United States is the time when it counts.
All right. So if someone is nearing their 6-year limit, they've got their perm filed, but it's not going to be approved in time before they hit the 6-year limit. What are some of the alternatives? Where can they travel to?
If they have the passport visa, Emily, they can travel to India and stay for a little bit time to come back to recapture the time that they spent outside. And if they don't have a passport stamping, they can even go to Mexico or Canada and come back. That's called automatic revalidation. Even if you don't have a stamping, if your I-94 is valid, you can go and spend less than 30 days in either Mexico or Canada and you can come back and you don't need a visa. It's called automatic revalidation. We'll put a link there for what an automatic revalidation is. So a lot of people, when they come to the very near end and the labor certification in I-140 is not approved, Emily, they go spend 25 days, come back, spend 25 days, come back. In that way, they can extend their H-1B for the period of time they spend outside the country. So in the meantime, they get their labor and I-140 approved.
What about changing status to another non-immigrant visa?
Especially if the option is there for H4, definitely that's the best option that they can do. They can even try to look into the student visa option F1. They can also look into the B2. But before you go into any of those things, there are some pluses and minuses when you go into F1 and B2. Changing from there may not be that easy. And also, once the consulate sees that this person has changed from H1 to B2 and then to trying to come back for the H1B, there may be a problem there. So better strategy is to go outside the country would be better. This, obviously, if they have an option of H4, it's more easier. But F1 and B2, though, I definitely want people to discuss with a lawyer before they embark onto the journey of F1 and B2 to avoid the 6-year limit.
All right. So what if I get into F1 or B2 or H4? How exactly do I get back to H-1B status?
If you are in any of these non-immigrant status, once your PERM and I-140 is approved, you can apply for change of status again from H4, B2, or F1 and get back to the H-1B status. Now, if the H4, B2, and F1 is still pending, though, there is a chance they may deny the change of status. Then you may have to go outside the country to get the stamping. Typically, we see those kind of change of status denial if your F1 and B2 is pending, but the chances of change of status from H4, when the H4 pending to the H1 is much higher. And the H4 is more safer if they are eligible for H4. That would be the best one. So they can, even though they are in H4, even though they are not in H1B MLE, PERM labor certification and I-140 can be continued though. There's no concept that they have to be on H1 to continue on the PERM and to get the I-140 approved.
All right. So back to this idea of recapture. Let's say you went outside the US to India for some time, or you've taken trips to Canada or Mexico under automatic revalidation. How exactly, what can you recapture and how do you do it?
So if somebody has spent like 1 month outside the country or 25 days outside the country, if their 6 months, 6 years is expiring though, they can add that extra time to the 6 years. So let's say, for example, my H-1B is approved on October 1st of 2014. And then the 6-year period will be October of 2020. So if I've spent extra time outside the country, then it will be added to it. You can extend the H-1B for that period of time. So if they have spent 6 months outside the country, that 6 months can be extended though. It doesn't have to be India, it can be Mexico or Canada. Whatever time that you have spent outside the country will be deducted from the 6-year period that is allocated for you on the H-1B.
And how is that time that you spent outside the US calculated? Does it have to be one trip or can you add up all separate trips?
You can add up multiple trips, but that trip has to be more than 24 hours to be counted. It does not have to be a single trip. It can be like 10 trips, can be 15 trips. It can be only one trip also. Either of those things will be counted.
What if I get to the end of my 6-year limit and I decided I'm going to move back to India? Can my I-140 and Perm still be processed when I'm in India?
Yes, if the company wants to process the labor certification perm and also the I-140, they can. And once the I-140 is approved, though, they can still file a H-1B in the consular processing. You can still come back, and this H-1B is not subject to the lottery because you already be counted toward the H-1B and you have an I-140 right now.
All right. Are there any ways to speed up the Perm process? Is there a premium processing for that?
No premium processing for the perm process, though. There are ways where at the time when the prevailing wage is applied, you can start the recruitment process. That may, save about 3 to 4 months sometimes, Emily. That's the most that you have available, but there is no premium processing for perm.
What about I-140?
Oh, for I-140, there is a premium processing. Absolutely. We strongly recommend everybody to go for premium processing for I-140.
All right. What if my Perm is not yet approved? Maybe I get audited. And so now it's pending for a long period of time and I'm still waiting. I can't get the I-140 approved because the Perm is not approved. Is there a way I can still extend my H-1B?
Yes. If the perm has been pending for more than 365 days, that's 1 year period of time, you can extend the H-1B. However, this extension is not 3 years only, it's only 1 year that you can extend.
All right. And again, if I do decide to go outside the US and wait, and then I get my labor certification and Perm approved, and I'm trying to get back to H-1B, does my H-1B have to go through the lottery?
No, it doesn't have to go to the lottery. You're already been counted towards the lottery. You already have an I-140 approval. You have to go to the consular processing, but you don't go to the lottery system.
So what is the consular, like what does the company have to do to get someone back on H-1B?
The company files a H-1B with the consular processing. You have to take the H-1B approval, make an appointment with the consulate, and get the H-1 approval stamping and come back into the United States.
All right. Anything else you want to add?
Emily, what about the period of time if some people have on L1 and they move to the H-1B? Will that L1 period be counted towards H-1B?
Yes, for L1 time, that does count towards the H-1B time. So if you spent 5 years on L1B, you only have 1 year that you can use towards H-1B.
What about the period of time I'm on H4 visa and I converted to the H-1B? Will that be counted towards the 6 year of the H-1B?
No, H4 time does not count, and any other non-immigrant status does not count. What about in the situation where I've used the grace period between jobs and I didn't actually work during that H-1B
So
period?
you mean to say between company A and company B, there is a 50-day gap? Can you take that days off from the H-1B? No, Emily. It is the physical presence in United States. If you do not work for a company, though, that still will be counted towards the grace period, will be counted towards the H-1B period, and that cannot be deducted from the 6 year period.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No. We advise a lot of people to not wait until the last. You can start the green card process when you're on student visa, when you initially get the H-1B. This video, though, is only for those people who are nearing, though. Please try to take this very seriously. Don't go very nearby. Try to file the green card as soon as possible. If your company is not willing to file the green card, maybe it's time to change to a different company. Right now, IT profession is the highest demand I've ever seen in the history. I mean, except in the war period where soldiers are in high demand. I mean, that's how the IT people are in demand right now. So if your company is not willing to file a green card, it's time for you to move to a different company which can file the green card, because otherwise you will have to go through a lot of hula hoops to extend the H-1B and go outside the country. So it's always good to take action in the first 3 years itself rather than wait until the last 3 years. Thank you.